Ladies and gentlemen, I am absolutely fired up for this one. Today's guest is a public relations and marketing magician. Before he jumped into the blockchain and crypto space, he managed large-scale project teams for brands like Rolls-Royce and Vodafone. He's won multiple advertising awards, including the Platinum Award from Campaign Magazine, and has hosted the Austria AKON Blockchain Summit in Vienna. In his spare time, he guest lectures at the University of Huddersfield Business School, giving back to the people. Present day, he's the founder and CEO of EAK Digital, a global blockchain PR agency. He's also the founder of the Istanbul Blockchain Week and BlockDown, the world's premier virtual blockchain conference. I'm pleased to welcome to the Crypto News podcast, Erhan Korhaliller. Erhan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for the introduction. You make me blush.
It is great to finally have you on board. As of the date we are recording, it is Tuesday, the 13th of April, and we had quite the day today. Bitcoin smashed through a new all-time high of 63K. First thing I do every morning when I wake up, check that phone. It's a terrible habit. And what happens? Woke up this morning, Bitcoin 63K, Ethereum is also buzzing. That always puts a huge smile on my face. Tell me I'm not the only one doing this every morning when I wake up.
I mean, it's the standard BlockDown pump. BlockDown's coming, announcements are coming, the markets are getting ready for it. It happens before every conference.
I love that. I assume, well, you know what, before we get into BlockDown, and that is the reason we're on today, it is an absolutely incredible conference, the virtual conference. You've incorporated VR and a multitude of other really special features into it. And the guest list, come on, like that is the creme de la creme of the crypto agency on the guest list. But before we jump into that, if you could just tell our guests a little bit about yourself and how you jumped into the blockchain and crypto industry.
Yeah, sure. So I used to work at a creative agency, a creative advertising agency as a project manager, but it was a creative agency. So that was called AKQA, which is part of the WPP group, which is one of the world's famous advertising group of agencies. And, I spent 3 years there, working on some of the brands that you mentioned, Rolls-Royce, Vodafone, Nike, Barclaycard, and working with some amazing teams, amazing creatives, some of the best in the world. They still win awards today, all the time, AKQA. And that really kind of made me, that really gave me my first break into kind of, creative and advertising and media. And I was instantly just inspired by the people around me. It was some of the world's best strategists, copywriters, creatives, and working with brands that large. Obviously, you've got budgets that I was a project manager, so working with budgets of £1 million plus and managing project teams of 12 to 20 people, from tech to creative to all kinds of different minds. Really opens your own mind, to delve into that many different people's kind of inner thoughts and to sit with them and work out how to, run a project and how that whole process goes. And honestly, once you've done that, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20 times, in my opinion, you're ready to go to kind of open your own business, because you're kind of like working on a business within a business, because you have such a large budget and a large team. I actually, before I actually got into AKQA, I was working for AOL, the old internet company in London. I had an internship there, and they have a subsidiary called Beon. And basically, it was like a video delivery network. You remember, like back in the old internet days when you used to have like pay-per-click, and it was like video advertising in these like MPU slots on the website.
Oh yeah, yep.
I used to manage like about 50,000 publishers. I used to like onboard them. And I used to like do sponsored posts. So like Heineken would say, right, I want to get this many views in Turkey, this many views in, wherever, in France and Germany. So then we would have to like onboard the publishers that can get those views. And then maybe they'll give a budget of like 10K to get like sponsored posts with that. And I was basically in charge of that publisher system as an intern. I know, right, they were getting a good bang for their buck. And then when I went to AKQA, I kind of kept those relationships with the media. And I kind of just was doing, some kind of like, little kind of side hustle, making some money. At the beginning, it was just beer money, extra beer and some nice Nike trainers, and it kind of just kept growing, so it started paying for my holidays, and I thought, this is pretty cool. And then it started getting serious. We started getting, we actually started working for other agencies, and just being we used to basically they used to we used to white label our work to help them get published on major outlets for their clients. And then, it kind of got to the point, I think, when I was 26, going on 27, when I was progressing well at AKQA, got promoted a few times, but then I realized that I wanted to travel. I wanted to travel the world. I'm really a big traveler, and obviously, I actually got a client. And this is I had EAK. I started that on the side when I was at AKQA, and I got a client in the last bull run in 2028, beginning of 2018, and they said to me, "Oh, Erhan, this is amazing." I think I won't mention the guy's name, but I think he got into the Ant Shares ICO, so he made an absolute fortune. Neo hit $180 or something. So he was like, "Erhan, I need to get better press, more credibility." Back in the last bull run, I think he was trying to get into more private sales and grow his fund. So, we did a really smashing job. We got him on Forbes and Entrepreneur and Business Insider. And he was just I couldn't believe it. A lot of people in this industry, unfortunately, say they can do things and don't follow through, especially in marketing and PR. And I followed through. And at first I was just "Hey man, can you just tell me what to buy?" I think everyone does that to begin. They're "Oh, I can't get into this. Just tell me what to buy and I'm cool with it." And then he just said, "Look, fly out to San Francisco. We'll go to an event there called Token Fest, and I'm going to introduce you to all my buddies, and you're going to love it." And I was just "Wow, okay, this sounds cool." So I literally hopped on the plane, went to San Francisco, went to his place. He had this amazing apartment, and then we went to this conference. And this was in the ICO days, just at the beginning of 2018, And I just just you hear all the time, I caught the bug. I realized how kind of groundbreaking the technology is, and also how passionate everyone was when they were talking about it. It really felt like you were part of a movement, and that was something I've always kind of intrinsically wanted to be a part of something. And the more I kept learning about crypto and blockchain, I think a lot of us in this space really love continuous learning. We really love to absorb content, and because of the amazing tech and developers in this space, there's always new evolutions of blockchain, and I think that kind of just kept me hooked. And then also seeing the really bad PR agencies and bad marketing out there, and then some other competitive agencies. There are some great agencies, by the way, but then also and then seeing how difficult it is for kind of devs and tech to really get across their point and get across essentially what their business does. I saw that as a big issue, and I thought that was a role that I could fill. And here we are today. We're still here, still thriving, and I'm sure we can go into that a little bit later.
And the rest is history. That was what a story. That's awesome. Especially, I've heard so many incredible stories about people getting into crypto and really falling in love while also having that pleasure of traveling the world. And I'm sure you can attest to this as you own a world-class public relations and marketing firm, but there are I'm speaking to people in Hong Kong and Vancouver and San Fran, New York, Paris. It's just all over the world. It's crazy.
So I did 3 years of that, or about 2.5 years, if I'm being honest with you. I was living in London in my apartment, and I just, as soon as I made enough money with the EAK to quit AKQA, I quit. And then I decided to go, okay, well, I'm going to be a digital nomad, and I'm going to mix business and pleasure. So I'm basically going to go to Paris Blockchain Week, to Korea Blockchain Week, to Delta Summit, to Malta Blockchain Summit, to San Francisco Blockchain Week. And I'm going to use that as my map to go around the world. And obviously, if I like the place and there's no big conference, I'm just going to stay there for a while, meet people, enjoy my life. Luckily I was single at the time, and I literally traveled the world for 2.5 years. In fact, I was doing it until the pandemic still, just going from big conference to big conference. And as a public relations agency, your network is really, and it's very cheesy to say, but your network is your net worth. And building my relationships like that was second to none. And then what I also did is I launched a YouTube channel, and not one of these channels that gets hundreds of thousands of views, but so basically at events we hired out a camera crew, and I used to interview some of the top speakers. So I interviewed CZ, Charles Hoskinson, Roger Ver, that was really exciting, and a bunch more speakers, and that really helped me kind of speak to some of the bigger fish right at the beginning of my crypto journey. And then we ended up signing Neo that way back in 2018. as a client, believe it or not, which was funny because that was how, the first guy got me into crypto and also was a significant bag of mine at the time. So that was weird. But and then we got them, and then the kind of rest was history, right? Because there was a lot of respect with working for Neo, and then that kind of snowballed from there.
So you spoke and touched upon the importance of traveling, and man, the parties. Like I'm born and raised in Toronto. I've been to a couple blockchain and crypto events in Toronto, and even the after parties there. And mind you, Toronto's a great city, don't get me wrong, but it's no Paris or London. Now, it's tough. If you can disclose as many good details as possible, tell me some good party stories if you have any.
Which of them are above board to say on a podcast? Honestly, I mean, some of the best parties I've had, I've been to some really weird parties as well. I was in Singapore for Block Show. I guess it was in 2019 now. It was one of the last big conferences we went to before the kind of COVID hit in March 2020. And we got taken to a kind of unused kind of apartment, or it was really dingy. And there was it was kind of very cultish. I don't know if anyone's come across this kind of weird area of crypto where people were shouting people's names, prominent figures' names in the space, and then doing almost like a weird kind of voodoo dance. And there was a DJ, and there was laser lights, and there was some really dodgy people there, but also people that were very well known in the industry. And then everyone was doing how the kind of New Zealand rugby team does that. I don't know what it's called, but they do that kind of dance before they start the game.
Yep.
They were all following a trance almost, and banging their chests. And I didn't know what was going on. Honestly, it kind of freaked me out. So I didn't stay there long, but there's definitely some weird undertone at some of these parties. Apart from that one, which was very strange, Malta is always a great party, especially when they first started getting the license, to actually get legal, open up your business legally there for crypto. Malta Blockchain Summit was really, really fun. They used to have these dancing robots, throwing lasers and on the roof. And then there was all the kind of ICO personalities there at the time. There's the kind of there's so many different party stories going on. I probably need to sit here and think about it, but there's definitely some amazing parties. Although having said that, we did go through a 3-year bear market, and I was traveling throughout, the conferences during that time. So I've heard of some crazy parties before I even got into it at the peak of the last bull run that, unfortunately has been robbed from us now because of the pandemic. And I'm really gutted about that because I wanted one of my events to be, one of those very big parties. But there you go.
That's wow. One can only dream. Heck, we're gonna have to have you on for round 2, and it'll just be a party tell-all session, but we will not include names. And this is a kids-friendly show, so as PG-13 as possible. I'd love to jump right into BlockDown. Now, you did something that was almost unheard of up until about March of 2020, when COVID really became a shit show and took the world by storm. You created the BlockDown conference, which I guess was established in spring of 2020, and you had the goal in mind of bringing the whole blockchain and crypto community together from all corners of the globe. And this was obviously during an extremely challenging time. You did things that people have never heard of, like virtual 3D experiences during BlockDown number 1, the first conference. You did live streaming in 3 different languages for the second iteration. You had a Halloween spectacular for 3.0, and there was just so much flavor and so much pizzazz that was brought to each one of these events. If you could give us a very high-level rundown of what exactly BlockDown is, and just sort of, tee our listeners off for what they can expect for BlockDown 2021, which starts in 2 days on Thursday, the 15th of April.
BlockDown is a open conference for everyone to go to and enjoy and take their mind off the terrible pandemic that the world has been in for the last year or so. And it's a way of basically me kind of personally trying my best to focus away from all of that stuff and give myself something to focus on and manage during the whole lockdown. Like in the UK, I think we had some of the harshest lockdowns in the world. I think I've seen, honestly, I think I've seen my friends about 4 times in the last year. So, I mean, it really gave me personally like a really great creative outlet to focus on. And that has really come to pass with all the different things that you've mentioned there. I think that creative side of me from AKQA, as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, really came to pass because virtually, the only limit is your imagination, right? So like, especially in a virtual world, I mean, you can build things, if you have the right tools and the right people. So, we really tried to kind of push the needle as to what was expected. But I really kind of want to just go a little bit back from that, because just before that, I was putting together Istanbul Blockchain Week. And that was a really big throw of the dice for me as an entrepreneur. Like I had never, put on a conference of that standard, like in real life. It was the first time I was going to do that. I'm half Turkish, half British, and that's why I did that, by the way. And, we booked out the nicest hotel in Istanbul. It's one of the new Hilton hotels. We had some amazing speakers lined up. We had CZ, we had Da Hongfei, we had a bunch of other huge speakers. We also had like Turkish government coming. We had the Turkish soccer teams coming. It was going to be a huge event. And then obviously COVID hit, and it was really tough for me as an entrepreneur. Like I had put a lot of my money into that. And obviously I'm a hodler, right? So I don't sell my crypto. All my money was in crypto already by that point. So I used like Nexo and to take out crypto loans. And then I paid, the hotel. And maybe it's a bit too much information, but it's really interesting because then we had the Black Swan event, right? So we had the 54% drop, or 53, I think, maybe in one day, which actually, and the Hilton Hotel was holding on to our money because they were worried about where their money's going to come from with this pandemic. So it actually left me like, I felt like naked in between the two parties. And it actually liquidated most of my crypto in March 2020, which is only a year ago now. And that like obviously kind of destroyed me because the conference got cancelled that I was trying to create for 6 months. Nexo liquidated us in like an instant. And I was just like, oh my God, like what has just happened? That was the biggest roll of the dice I'd ever made. I don't have any backers or any investors behind EAK. It's just me. And that was tough. That was a tough few days. I realized Istanbul Blockchain Week wasn't going to go ahead. So I thought, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to sit here and sulk, or am I going to, sit down and take the bull by the horns and like channel that negativity into a positive outlet? And that's kind of where I came up with BlockDown. I thought, well, okay, well, I know consensus is in May. We were supposed to do our event in April, the Istanbul Blockchain Week one. So actually we ended up doing BlockDown just 1 week after the original Istanbul Blockchain Week was planned. So we dropped the Turkish element. We kept some of the international figures, and we made it even more international by bringing in some of the top names in crypto that I utilized my network to bring in. And then we kind of went the whole hog. Like, so within 5.5 weeks of literally coming up with a BlockDown name, we came up with, as you mentioned, the whole 3D software we're using, the virtual reality. We had like a sponsored nightclub by some of our sponsors after the event. We had like a 3D virtual world with booths and auditorium and everything. Like that was probably the hardest 5 weeks I've ever worked. Like after that, you had to peel me up off the floor. I sat in a dark room for like the whole weekend. But like just getting that off the ground in that time. And also as EAK, one of our clients, they won't mind me saying, is AKON and AKON. So he was always going to commit to Istanbul Blockchain Week. So he was going to commit to BlockDown. And that really gave me the kind of drive to go, okay, let's do this. Let's make it happen. For the first one, to have somebody of his stature obviously gives it, respect from the beginning. And then, now BlockDown's evolved. We really want BlockDown to be a fun conference to listen to. There's so many different conferences out there that bore me to tears. Even though the content's good, it's just too much, like just talking constantly. So we try and make it funny. We try. I mean, our host Chris Dorr is amazing. He is one of the highlights of the show. He's the CEO of Effect AI. Actually, he's living another life. He should definitely be in show business. But we try and make it really fun. We come up with like new content ideas all of the time. We always try to kind of stretch the imagination of what's possible in a virtual conference. And I know I'm kind of going on a little bit long here, so I'll just kind of quickly wind up. But I think that this event particularly is our first anniversary event, and we're making it a big celebration. So there's make sure that you tune in, because there's going to be a bunch of surprises. We've got a new mascot now called Brian the Bull, which we released for this one, and he might be making an appearance. And I think personally for me, somebody that works in PR, I'm always working with content and influencers, and it's actually nice to actually be able to put together content that I find interesting and then actually be able to see it, myself on the stage. And then usually we're always asking editors, to kind of write about our clients. So it's nice to have the kind of shoe on the other foot this time. But yeah, highly recommend people watch it. I think it's something they won't have experienced before.
I will definitely be attending and will be checking that out. This episode is brought to you by our dear friends at PrimeXBT. These guys have been partners of CryptoNews.com for years, and we are always excited about the products they have to offer. I've been using PrimeXBT for the last couple of months, and I absolutely love it. PrimeXBT offers a robust trading system for both beginners and professional traders that demand highly reliable market data and performance. Traders of all experience levels can easily design and customize layouts and widgets to best fit their trading style. PrimeXBT is always offering innovative products and professional trading conditions to all customers. PrimeXBT is running an exclusive promotion for listeners of this podcast. After making your first deposit, 50% of that first deposit will be credited to your account as a bonus that can be used as an additional collateral to open positions. This promotion is available for a month after activation and will be the boost you need to get the hang of trading quickly and efficiently. Use promo code CryptoNews50 to take advantage of this offer. Again, that is CryptoNews50 to receive 50% of your first deposit credited to your trading account. And now, back to the show. You brought up tons of good points there. We can take that conversation and go to so many different directions. Firstly, you spoke about your host. What's his name? Chris Dorr. D-A-W-E. D-A-W-E. We need him on the pod. Chris, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on. Come on, tell some stories. We'd love the energy, and you would be a treat to have on the podcast. Another thing you brought up, and this is bananas. When I first read this, when I was doing some research and going over the show notes, I was like, AKON? I remember hearing that last year. You got to give us the whole 360-degree story here. How did you become an advisor for AKON, which is spelled A-K-O-I-N-A, and then coin with a K? And how did you get on with AKON? And yes, this is AKON, the famous rapper and R&B singer, AKON, the GOAT. How did you get on board with him, and how did you make this happen?
Yeah, so I mean, again, it's down to traveling. Again, it's down to meeting people and being at conferences. So I was at Block Show in Singapore that we discussed earlier, and I met a lady there called Amanda, and we kind of hit it off. We were introduced by a kind of third party, and she had met AKON and the team at Malta Blockchain Summit, I think it was, which was the first conference he'd ever kind of been at as a crypto speaker. And, she knew they were looking for, PR agency. So I'm still thankful for her today that she did that. She put us in touch. I had a call with John and Lynn, the co-founders at AKON, and we kind of instantly clicked. I actually spend quite a lot of time in LA, like as a digital nomad. LA and Bali are kind of the two spots that I'm very particularly fond of, unsurprisingly. And that's where AKON and John and Lynn are based. So, they said, let's set up a meeting, get to know each other, see if we want to work together. And then, we were sat there in West Hollywood, I think it was, in a bar, and I met John and Lynn, and Lynn is, amazing. She's really upbeat, lady who's, can make the whole kind of cafe, uplifting and smiling. And then John is kind of the businessman, is quite serious, but clearly he'd done a lot of deals. So John's AKON's business partner throughout his whole last 20 years for music and entertainment. And obviously he's somebody who, I look up to very much. Anyway, they liked what I was saying about EAK. And then, the next day they said, AKON's having an interview with, I think it was the Real Leaders Business Magazine, which is on YouTube at the moment. You should come to the house. It wasn't a house, it was a convention. And meet AKON and watch the interview. And it was kind of surreal, right? Because I'm 29, right? So when I was at uni, I was dancing to AKON in all of those clubs in north of England, thinking, wow, This is awesome. So it was definitely a surreal experience to meet AKON and start working with him. But I think instantly people start thinking, oh, it's a celebrity, are they really into it? And then that was kind of always on my mind, as somebody who really loves the space. But not instantly, but like after, a few weeks, months, it really became clear that AKON was really passionate about making a difference in Africa, first and foremost. He really wanted to would actually made the effort to learn about the technology. And that was something which separates him way from like the kind of 2017, superstars. And I instantly, took to that because I really related to his vision. I think blockchain technology as a whole, it has a lot of good lines about banking the unbanked and helping, people in the world where they really need it. But I still don't necessarily think that's happening as much as it should yet. I think it's getting there, but it's not quite there. So I was really on board with that. And then we kind of continued our working relationship. They really appreciated kind of my advice about, who to align themselves with in the industry, because that's really important, right? Even right now, right? I mean, who's coming into the industry who's super famous, like Gary Vee, if he kind of takes like the wrong, and I'm speaking from a PR professional point of view, if he takes the interview with the wrong people, if he gets aligned with certain people in the space, he's going to get instant, potential, image issues.
For sure. Yeah. Paris Hilton, she just went head over heels into crypto and NFTs.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, I think it's a great thing because it's just going to get more eyes into the space. I know she's followed a bunch of the influencers we work with and they were super happy about it. So yeah, fair play to her. Look, if she's going to sit on there, I think she's out on like CNBC with a Bitcoin t-shirt on. I think I saw that the other day. So, props to her. Hopefully she can like actually, be a good advocate for Bitcoin for the kind of, mainstream audience.
100%. A couple more things about BlockDown. When you gave your original spiel about BlockDown and touched on the success of the October 2020 and June 2020 speakers, I guess April 2020 as well, you guys your whole team tied in VR to the experience, which again was almost unheard of at that point. Present day, you have VR opportunities to collab with brands like the Sandbox from Animoca. You have opportunities to collab with Decentraland. And how do you see, well, I guess before we jump into that, how did you actually make that happen? Like, walk me through the whole story and the whole process of your team finally deciding we are going to tie a VR aspect into this. And how did it come to an idea all the way to a legitimate thing for BlockDown?
So during those insane 5 weeks, for the first couple of weeks, we were like, the thing is, you have to remember that there wasn't any virtual events before ours, right? Like, at least in the blockchain space that I was aware of. There was these one guys that did one, and I spoke to them, and this is a true story. I spoke to them. The whole virtual conference, it was 2 podcasters, was completely pre-recorded back to back. And I told them about what I wanted to achieve. I said I wanted to achieve a live conference. By the way, like 99% of BlockDown speeches are live. Very odd one is pre-recorded. And I wanted to create a live experience that would allow people to ask questions. I want to put together 100 speakers. I want it to be, like we had like a virtual 3D world. And honestly, their advice at the end of it was, you're crazy. You're going to make a fool out of yourself in front of the whole industry. Don't do it. And honestly, for a day or two, I was like, oh my God, like I've announced it now. I can't go back. But like the natural entrepreneur inside of me was like, well, now that they've said I can't do it, I'm going to work like 5 times as hard to prove that I can. Not just to prove to them, but just to prove to myself that I can do it. So I decided to shun their advice and just go for it. And then, sorry, just back to your question. So, we were outreaching to like every platform, like virtual conference platform. Honestly, like there wasn't many that had been made that were able to like take on a virtual conference. We spoke to all of the hop-ins and, all of the umbrellas of the world, and none of them were even ready to do a virtual conference. And then we started to explore the kind of 3D kind of aspect to it. And we were reaching out to all kinds of kind of 3D VR kind of, platforms. And we stumbled across one called SignSpace. And, those guys were really collaborative in terms of like, they kind of really saw the vision of what we wanted to do, but also they really saw the opportunity for them to have, a VR conference, including AKON and bigger names in the industry. So it was kind of like a collaboration with them of what was possible. And within a couple of weeks, we'd built this kind of 3D, like you said, virtual conference. And I guess our imagination just kept running wild. It's like, oh, well, if we can do that, then why can't we do a boat party? If we can do a boat party, then why can't we do, a cinema, a secret cinema? And, it just kind of kept going on and on and on like that. And it was a nice way. It was a nice way for us to, like I said, experiment in those areas. I'm super interested. I've got an Oculus Quest. I play with my friends all the time. As somebody who is really into emerging technologies as a whole, obviously blockchain's at the forefront. It was a really great experience to explore the forefront of that space and actually partake in it. So yeah, I mean, look, I would love to collaborate with a Decentraland, like you mentioned, or a Sandbox or a Somnium space, and actually true to our roots, the first talk of this BlockDown is an epic talk. Don't miss it. It's first talk, and it's done by Artur Saichov, I think his name is, the founder and CEO of Somnium Space. He's doing half an hour talk, and he's doing it completely in VR. So it's live, and he's doing it from Somnium Space. He's walking around, he's wearing his VR costume, which is an NFT. And it really blows your mind. It's kind of the future of, communicating in the long term. So I really want people to enjoy that. And I thought it was important to have a really kind of high tech kind of, talk to kick off the whole conference and set the scene for the rest of the event.
I'm really looking forward to it, especially his talk as well. A couple of highlights about this year's BlockDown 2021 conference that begins on, again, Thursday, April 15th. The topics include, obviously, everything here is involved to blockchain and crypto, but we have investment, social impact, gaming, trading, DeFi, security, privacy, and enterprise. And last year, throughout the 3 or 4 2020 BlockDown conferences, there were 20,000 plus viewers, 250 plus speakers, 6 live streams on media sites, and 4 different languages. This year, there are 3 different tiers of tickets. You can get your GA general admission tickets for free. There are VIP passes, which go for $49 a pop, and special VIP passes that go for $99. Can you please give our listeners a very quick explanation of the different tiering prices for the tickets and what that gets you?
Yeah, for sure. So first and foremost, we want to make a conference that's free and accessible to everyone, as blockchain technology should be. So we highly recommend that regardless of your budget, you come along and you watch the event and you enjoy yourself. In terms of the different kind of tickets that we have, the $49 tickets, so we actually have a BlockDown Clubhouse agenda at the same time as a secret agenda. So I can drop some nuggets as to what that is. But so basically, on the first 2 days, the 2 days, we have, look, I work in PR, right? So I'm all about storytelling. And I think really learning about people's kind of crypto life stories is super interesting. How they, just as you asked me, how they got into the space, how they can inspire others to get in the space. So 5 hours a day, we've got 2 Clubhouse events to help with the networking as well. And we have Data Dash, we have Crypto Wendy, we have Lisa Edwards, who's a famous crypto trader and personality. And they're all going to sit on Clubhouse for half an hour and give their story and their kind of peaks and troughs of how they got into crypto. And then half an hour Q&A with anyone that wants to come in that has a VIP ticket. So that's going to be really exciting. We also have a Women in Crypto event there as well, which is super important to continue to promote in the space. And that's in the $49 ticket. In the $99 ticket, you get to guaranteed questions. So on Clubhouse or even during the event, we have guaranteed questions for people. So if you really want to ask, Eric Voorhees a question or AKON a question, grab yourself a special access VIP ticket. And you also have some really special roundtable events that we're only sending to VIP ticket holders, but they're really, really exclusive. So if you want to know what those are, feel free to drop us an email and I'm happy to share more. But either way, honestly, what I would say is the content is really epic. We've got 2 debates. One of them is who's the top YouTuber of right now. In my opinion, Elliot Trades has kind of gone from zero to hero in an amazing way with Superfarm. He's doing a debate right now, an NFT debate tomorrow night. On Thursday with Edmund Schuster, who's a professor from the London School of Economics, I believe, about an NFT bull and bear. They're both super passionate in their space. It's going to be very exciting. And then one other debate, Francis Coppola, who people might know is a famous Bitcoin bear, against Jimmy Song with the future of money debate. Those two are probably going to get pretty heated. So it's really important for us. Every BlockDown, we bring the best content and we bring debates that people can really get behind. So I'd really, we're gonna send out the agenda tomorrow, so when people hear this, I really think people should put that in their calendars.
What a treat. That is going to be so much fun. I'm definitely going to be tuning into that. Quick question. And when I reached out to our audience, this is one of the points that they really wanted to ask. And that was, what was your favorite speech and or guest and or moment of the previous BlockDown conferences?
I think that's a really great question. Michael Casey, obviously very famous journalist in the space for CoinDesk, he did a really amazing fireside chat with CZ. I think that was in BlockDown 2. And I actually went wild behind the scenes because our production team cut them like at the right time. It was 45 minutes, but I really wanted them to go longer. So I was texting them saying, keep them on. And they cut them. And I was literally pulling my hair out. I was like, no, that was a really amazing fireside chat. Even now, you can go to YouTube and catch that. I also would like to say my other favorite one would be, there's so many, moments where I really enjoyed. But I would say that my fireside chat with Dovey Wan, she's quite a rare gem in the space in terms of she really understands China and the West and the East, of what's going on in crypto. Some of the things she told me was kind of really mind-bending. I did a fireside chat with her for the October edition. That's also on YouTube to watch. And, she had some really good knowledge bombs there that I'd never even considered before. And, it was a real honor to host her. So those two are definitely, but honestly, there's so many that I couldn't list them all out. So, you can check out our YouTube channel, BlockDown TV. You can go through the catalog. And there's lots of content there to get your teeth into.
Well, this has been absolutely incredible. I know how busy you are. You have the conference launching in T-minus 36 hours now. And we are all very extremely excited. Thanks for that.
Reminding me.
Before I let you go, I got a couple more coffees in you over the next couple of days. Before I let you go, could you please tell all of our listeners where they can find you, BlockDown, and EAK Digital on all socials?
Absolutely. So our website is BlockDownConf. That's CONF.com. And that's also our Twitter handle, BlockDownConf, and Instagram. It's all consistent. EAKDigital.com. EAK is my initials, so easy for me to remember. It should be easy for everyone. And then myself, on Twitter, I'm EAK Korhaliller. A little bit harder with my surname. Somebody told me I should probably change that. I haven't got around to doing that yet. But I'm probably the only person in the space with this name, so it should be pretty easy to find if you can get the spelling right on Twitter. And honestly, I actually still keep a pretty low profile on Twitter. I don't know how these founders spend all day on Twitter as they do. It's quite incredible. I'm usually working really hard behind the scenes, but no, without a doubt, if anyone wants to reach out to me, if anyone would like to help out with the conference in any way, I'd love to hear from them. And any feedback, positive or negative, is 100% accepted. We'd love to hear it. We always want to make the conferences better experiences for our guests. So please get in touch. We'd love to hear from you.
100%. And all of your socials will be included in the show notes on our podcast links on www.cryptonews.com, our daily newsletter, and all of our socials as well. So look no further than that, and we will hook you up with those socials. Last question before you go. Bitcoin 100K by the end of the year. Is it going to happen? Yes or no?
Absolutely. Well before the end of the year. I'm expecting that in September, around fall. This is not financial advice.
You heard it here first, folks. EK, this was an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate you coming on. Best of luck with BlockDown 2021. Crypto News will be there as one of your media partners. We are cheering for you. We love this event. Folks, definitely check it out. And thanks again for coming on. It was an absolute treat speaking with you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, all the best.